In 1898, the Americans had just won the Spanish-American War. Since they won against Spain, Spain traded the Philippines for $20 million, and America got to claim the Philippines for their own. Now, at that same time, the Philippines have wanted to claim their independence, and right before the Americans took the Philippines, they already claimed their independence. Before this, the Philippines had been a Spanish colony, and the people in the Philippines were getting annoyed with these guys and wanted to retaliate. So in rebellion, the Filipino revolutionaries and military gathered up and staged an attack on the Spanish colony. Led by this guy, in 1896 they attacked the Spanish fleet and were victorious. They felt like they were finally free, not being controlled by any colony, and had their independence. They quickly realized, though, they're now being controlled by another colony, the Americans. So the Filipino people were not happy about these other guys just taking their stuff. Disagreements and tensions have been arising, and the Filipino citizens were getting annoyed that all American troops were occupying the land. So on the night of February 4th, 1899, there was a gunshot sounded in Manila, and that was the start of the Philippine American War. Now again, this guy was the leader in this whole war and had been planning for this event. First, the Philippines were fighting conventional wars and battles, but then realized that they weren't going to win this type of war because the U.S. had bigger and better weapons which outmatched the Philippine methods. Realizing that they couldn't win open battles and couldn't stand this for much longer, they switched to a different tactic. Guerrilla tactics are when militaries use unconventional attacks like hit-and-run attacks, sabotage, and surprise attacks, which are usually used against a higher military that is more conventional. Here is an example. Proceed through the town. If you find any survivors, defeat them. They have no idea what is doing here. We're about to sabotage them. Sir, we've searched the whole town. There are no survivors. Good. Ready? In 3, 2, 1. Jump attack. What the? What? I'm so sorry. I was just trying to do an example. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah. Okay, let's just get back to the video. So in this case, the Philippines used these tactics against the U.S. and it helped them for some time because the militaries were getting very, very small. They also utilized their land terrain, which they have been used to, by using mountains and dangerous paths which Americans were not used to, so they couldn't control the war as well. But using these tactics came with many sacrifices. They had their villages burned, and many people had been taken into concentration camps, where thousands died from disease and starvation. These American retaliations had at least 200,000 people die, and eventually they were very weakened. Eventually, in 1901, the U.S. captured this guy, and without him, the Filipino revolutionaries and peoples were stuck on how they could still win this war. Eventually, the Americans had gotten the upper hand, and in 1902, the Americans claimed the victory, but there were still small battles. Then, at least 40 years later, on July 4th, 1946, the Philippines gained their independence. But even now, people can still feel the effects of the war. Even now, the U.S. has been having very complex and double-sided relationships with the Philippines. Sometimes people can still see American culture and its educational effects, which can be seen in its government. Americans also set up military bases around the region just to be extra precautious. Even though the Philippines and the U.S. are now allies, people from the Philippines still look back on the war and see it as a sad time and a painful